Hello, everyone. This is Fabian, the product manager for GitLab Geo, and I'm going to run you through the work that we're going to do in the next release, GitLab 13.5. Let me quickly share my screen. Okay, so as a quick reminder, Geo is GitLab's solution for distributed teams and for disaster recovery capabilities, so specifically for the ability to failover to a secondary node to restore operation after some form of service disruption on your primary GitLab instance. And so many of the issues that I'm going to go into more detail today are part of our effort to get Geo's maturity from minimal to viable, especially in the disaster recovery arena. So this has been an ongoing effort. As you can see, there are more than 130 issues that we need to close. And if you recall from last time in 13.4, some of the items are going to carry over because we are not quite done in time for this release. So for 13.5, the main theme here is to move many of these items that were very close to finishing in that epic. And the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the self-service framework for replication and verification. So Geo replicates data from one instance to another, and Geo is building out capabilities to make replicating easy and also accessible to other teams within GitLab. So one of the main things that we are working on at the moment is to establish a second replication strategy specifically for Git data. So this would be repositories, and we're aiming to deliver this for versioned snippets. So that's something that we are working on right now, and that will finish in GitLab 13.5. So this is snippet replication in the form of the self-service framework. Excuse me. So verification is something that is a stretch goal for this release. First, replication. So this is the first thing that we're going to focus on. Then there are a number of unreplicated data types. So data that Geo is not automatically replicating from your primary to your secondary. That's obviously an issue for disaster recovery purposes. If data is not replicated, it may be lost. So we've been working on supporting Terraform state files. This is not going to be released in 13.4 as we planned initially. We've extended the scope here a little bit because rather than just supporting Terraform state files, the team behind the Terraform state capability has merged the ability to replicate versioned Terraform state files. And we're going to add those capabilities to Geo in 13.5 as well. So this is not only for Terraform state files, but the slightly, let's say, improved version to actually sync them when they are versioned. And that's a lot more easy for us to do within an iteration because of the self-service framework. And that's going to be a focus for 13.5. So those are the outstanding new data types, except for one other one, which is external merge request diffs. We intended to ship that in 13.4, but it's taking us a little bit longer. So this will also be added in 13.5. And then another effort overall, and that's going to continue over a few releases, is to improve our documentation. So in 13.4, we're going to merge a runbook for a single node. And then in 13.5, we are going to merge a runbook for a failover with two sides with multi-node installations, so slightly more scaled architecture. And I will be good and update the milestone because I forgot. So that's going to happen. I talked about the blobs. Another thing that we've been working on that's quite valuable for many of our larger customers is support for a fault-tolerant or highly available Postgres deployment on your GitLab secondary. So this is not something that we consider a part of viable maturity for the R, but for complete maturity. And we're experimenting here with Patroni, a high availability template for Postgres that is now experimentally supported in Omnibus. So we're going to, we had an experiment in 13.4 that was successful, and now we are making the necessary changes to support that in Omnibus. And getting this generally available will take a while, but we are pushing iterations out to add experimental support. Another thing that we've picked up again is our work on a maintenance mode or a read-only mode. This is particularly important for the use case of a planned failover, where you essentially want your primary GitLab instance to become read-only, so users still have access to their data. They can download Git repositories and look at the web page, but they can't actually make any changes. And that's really important so that your primary and your secondary can become fully synced. And then when you actually fail over, there's no data loss. So we're working on this maintenance mode. There's also a POC that we've started that will likely carry over into 13.5, where the goal is to make it a lot easier for systems administrators to execute a failover. At the moment, when you want to fail over to a secondary, you have to modify the GitLab RB file manually and remove configuration. And so we are exploring ways here to provide a single command that allows the configuration to be altered so that a systems administrator can essentially promote the primary with a single command that makes it a lot easier to automate with other tools like Ansible. And we're working in this area here. Lastly, we are in the process of validating a new design for our Geo Node Page overview in the administrator interface. So this means scheduling interviews with systems administrators, understanding if our solution actually fits their needs. And this is a quick look at the new design. It is more compact, it presents more information, it's more collapsible, so it allows more secondary nodes to be displayed. And also it provides a better overview for specific data types where verification and synchronization are grouped, which is a lot easier for systems administrators to see. And lastly, we are working on enabling usage ping on Geo secondaries. This is particularly because we would like to understand how many users access secondary Geo nodes. So we're working on that. That information will help us understand what impacts usage, how our features increase the usability of Geo overall. This is a bit technically involved because Geo secondaries have a read-only database. And that's it for 13.5. If we get all of this done, the stretch goal and sort of the next step, maybe in 13.6, is to start working on file verification and then ultimately on repository verification in the self-service framework. That's also highly important for the R applications because not everything currently that is replicated is also verified. Thanks for listening in, and I'm looking forward to 13.5. I think a whole bunch of efforts are going to get shipped and provide value to you. So thank you.